from Juniata Christian School, and will be performing A Great Indiscretion, adapted from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and the dramatization by Helen Jerome. Papa, I fear you shall regret letting Lydia travel with Colonel and Mrs. Forrester in the regiment to Brighton.
Lizzie, my dear.
I see no indiscretions, Lizzie, in letting a Lydia go to Brighton. I remember the great grief I endured on a similar occasion 25 years ago. I'm sure I cried for 2 days together when Colonel Miller's regiment went away. I thought it should have broken my heart. Oh, to have gone to Brighton. A little sea bathing would have set me up forever.
Papa, I wish you would call Lydia home. Surely the improprieties of Lydia's general behavior, the little advantage she could derive from the friendship of such a woman as Mrs. Forrester. Yes, and the probabilities of her being yet more imprudent at Brighton, where the temptations must surely be greater than at home, demand your insistence that she return to Longbourn.
Lydia will never be at ease till she has exposed herself in some public place or other. And we can never expect her to do so with so little expense or inconvenience to her family, as under the present circumstances.
If you were aware of the very great disadvantage to us all, which must arise from the public notice of Lydia's unguarded and imprudent manner, nay, which has already arisen, I am sure you would judge differently in the affair.
Already arisen? What? Has she frightened some of your lovers away? Poor little Lizzie, but do not be cast down. Such squeamish youths as cannot bear to be connected with a little absurdity are not worth the regret. Come, let me see the list of pitiful fellows who have been kept aloof by Lydia's folly.
Indeed, Papa, you are mistaken. I have no such injuries to resent. It is not of particular, but of general evils which I am now complaining. Our importance, our respectability in the world must be affected by the wild volatility and disdain of all restraint that marks Lydia's character.
Lizzie, my dear.
Excuse me, for I must speak plainly. If you, my dear father, will not take the trouble of checking her exuberant spirits and of teaching her that her present pursuits are not to be the business of her life, she will soon be beyond the reach of amendment. Her character will be fixed, and she will, at 16, be the most determined flirt that ever made herself and her family ridiculous.
Do not make yourself uneasy, my love. Wherever you and Jane are known, you must be respected and valued. And you will not appear to less advantage for having one very silly sister. We would have had no peace at Longbourn if Lydia had not gone to Brighton. Colonel Forrester is a sensible man, and will keep her out of any real mischief. And she is luckily too poor to be an object of prey to anybody. At Brighton, she will be of less importance, even as a common flirt, than she has been here. The officers will find women better worth their notice. Let us hope, therefore, that her being there may teach her her own insignificance. At any rate, she cannot grow many degrees worse without authorizing us to lock her up for the rest of her life.
Mr. Bennett, an urgent post has arrived.
Thank you, Hill. Here, Lizzie, read this.
What is it, Mr. Bennett? You look vexed about something. Who's the letter from? Why are you ignoring me?
Papa, this is frightful.
I really think I am as deserving of your confidence as my daughter Lizzie is, Mr. Bennett.
Colonel Forrester informs me that your daughter, Lydia, has gone off with Mr. Wickham.
Mr. Wickham?
He writes, something has occurred of a most unexpected and serious nature.
Oh, Wedding, no!
What I have to say relates to poor Lydia. Mrs. Forrester and I discovered this morning that Lydia has run off in the night with one of my officers, a Mr. Wickham.
But where?
What does it matter where? The important thing is she went anywhere with the scoundrel. They've eloped. Do you understand?
But Wickham? Oh, foolish Lydia!
Oh, did your child end without wedding clothes? Mr. Bennett, you must send money at once! How will she know which warehouse to choose? Lizzie, my love!
Colonel Forrester continues. Wickham's character no longer appears to be as stellar as I previously believed. They left Brighton at midnight on Saturday and were not missed until 8 o'clock yesterday morning.
But he will certainly marry her, Papa.
Let me continue. Imprudent as the marriage between Mr. Wickham and Lydia would be, we now fear it has not taken place and that Mr. Wickham never planned to marry her at all.
What? They're not married? Oh, this is impossible. My Lydia would never do such a thing.
Please, calm yourself, Mrs. Bennet.
If I'd been able to carry out my point of going to Brighton with all of my family, this would have never happened. Oh, but poor dear Lydia had nobody to care for her. How could the Forsters ever let her out of their sight? I am sure there was some neglect or other on their part, for she is not the kind of girl to do such a thing. If she had been well looked after, I knew they were very unfit to have charge over her, but I was overruled, as I always am. Oh, poor dear child.
Kindly control yourself, Mrs. Bennet. This is no time for hysterics. Listen to this. Your daughter left a message from my wife stating that she and Mr. Wickham were gone to Gretna Green. I at once set off after them and traced them as far as Clapham, but they lost all clues.
Oh, my poor innocent child.
If you will restrain your outcries, just one moment, please, while we ascertain the exact situation, then you may resume them again if you wish.
But how could she get married? She has no wedding clothes.
Mrs. Bennet, for once in your life, I entreat you to try not to be silly. The letter continues. All that is known from this is that they were seen to continue the London road. After making every possible inquiry that side of London, I am sincerely grieved to tell you that I can find no further trace of them and no word of any marriage ceremony.
My poor dear Lydia!
Colonel Forrester only says that he has found no trace of a marriage ceremony. That doesn't mean that...
Whatever it means, you can rest assured that I will attend to that young man.
Oh, Mr. Bennet, you frightened me out of my wits! Oh, Lizzie, I know that your father will fight Wickham and be killed. The Constance will turn us out before he is cold in his grave.
There, my dear. Don't be so upset. We must all keep our heads. Try to stand up. It will help you upstairs and get you a sleeping potion.
Hell, will you help Mother upstairs and get her a potion? She is unwell and needs some rest.
Assist your mistress upstairs, then pack my bags quickly.
Lean on me, Mum. That's the way.
My child, I must leave at once. Can you manage things here?
Of course, Papa.
Don't worry. I'll find them. I'll make that scoundrel marry her.
Just get them married, Papa. Never mind about punishing Wickham. But how could Lydia have done this?
That foolish child. She would have eloped with anything in uniform.
It's our fault. Mine especially. I had been warned of Wickham. I could have saved her. It was recently revealed to me that Mr. Wickham had been granted a small legacy in Mr. Darcy's father's will. He squandered it within a year, thanks to his ill-luck at gambling and fascination with women. He was then driven to more desperate measures and persuaded Mr. Darcy's sister Georgiana, then a child of 15, that she was in love with him. Mr. Darcy intervened at the 11th hour to prevent an elopement. And now poor Lydia, who never bothered about the child except to criticize her.
I too am to blame. But my heart has its own bitterness.